Okay, we're back. We're going to do our year in review. We're going to talk about the various arcs and where I think the game is currently. Okay, the first of the year we started out with the Enterprise arc, which gave us several loops. Okay, we got both the Xindi Reptilian and the Xindi Aquatics. The first arc we got the Xindi Reptilian. Then they brought out the Enterprise in NX-01 and we got the Aquatics. And then the other one they gave us was the Silent Enemies, which is in this quadrant. This was a fairly easy loop to do. I've got I'll switch to my NX-01. As you can see, I've got it completely tiered out at level 12, and it was fairly easy to do. Basically, I bought the unlock on day one and the first day pack, which usually gives you more parts and stuff to start out, but I did not put any other money into this ship. Like I said, it was pretty easily tiered out if you kept on it, and I did. As you can see, it also gave us the X-Borg faction. I don't know if it completely gave it to us or expanded it, but we got this. I can't remember if I know there was an expansion to it during the year at one time, but pretty much it gave us this X-Borg faction that we could, and it has some really good favors in it. You can see I got a bunch of them maxed out, and then some of them I didn't. They were obsolete for me, like the G5, the G4 parts, and these were obsolete for me, so I never finished them. Same with the Monavine. I was done with the Monavine by the time I got there. But you can see all the ones that I completely finished, and some that, had I'd stayed in the G5 a little bit longer in these, I probably would have done the rest of them too. But there were a few that I didn't think were worth dealing with, but all the major ones, they were easily obtained. And I use this every day. You can see I use these. See all the ones that I've got clicked. This is an everyday engagement with me. And this I think it's a really good arc. Has some really good things in it, like this. You can get all these resources, which I am going to click. I just did a Enterprise update just a few minutes ago, so I had some to spend. But it also makes pretty much all these other loops, obsolete. The Voyager, if you needed to build up your LAT miner, there you go, and the Stella, you can pretty well finish this loop inside here and never have to deal with this if you're still on it. And if you're, I would say 45 plus, if you're still dealing with a Stella loop, man, what the hell, man? It's just not worth it. Let me give you a deal. You can abandon it and not ever do any more of it, because all the research that these guys who pound this thing, they say that they need, it's all been ellipsed by primes and other research. It's not worth even engaging with, even if you didn't finish it. But anyway, you get your temporal disruptors for artifacts in here every day, and it's something that I deal with every day. This was a really good arc. This I think was the best arc of the year, and it affected the game the most. Even the officers. Here we go. You can see I got a lot of good progression. My Hoshi's at 4, but she's basically a mining officer, but she does give you that if you're going to use you can use it on your amalgam to help do the cargo size to help get you more stuff. She's a good officer, not a great officer. To me, this was the worst part of the deal. They should have made T'Pol a epic officer instead of Phlox. And you can see I've got him tier 3 as well. I got both of both of those at tier 3. I got Tucker at tier 4, Archer at tier 4, and Phlox at tier 3. And we also had Pick Hugh, for some reason, was thrown in there, but he doesn't really make any difference. They could have put, I know, Malcolm or Merryweather in there instead of Pick Hugh, but they didn't. As I reviewed this arc, this is something I was going to do the whole year, but like I said in my previous stream, I decided not to do that because it'd be all negative, and I don't want to be negative all the time. But obviously, the person who put this arc together never watched the series. They just had characters that they put these on. Like I said, Phlox should have been where T'Pol is, and Tucker's lower deck ability is for the Voyager ship. Come on, man. To me, reason why I was so adamant, I was so disappointed by how they treated the Enterprise series as a whole, not the arc itself. I'm going to talk about the series. That was one of my favorite series of all the Star Trek. I actually think maybe Jonathan Archer might be the best captain of all the captains, if you rank them. I like the Strange New World, but I'm kind of troubled with the woke direction it's going and that stupid musical episode. It's one of my favorite ones right now, but I'm worried about the direction that it's going. Will it continue this woke direction that we see in it? I don't know. It wasn't as bad. Definitely wasn't as bad as Discovery, but we don't need that in Star Trek. But anyway, so let's get on with the rest. I think the officers are good. Archer is really good on the aquatics. His ability there, you can see you get 300%, and with the ship too. He's really good on the aquatics. Okay on the reptilians, but he's not. The NX-01's not strong as some of your warships you could put Archer on there. But the biggest mess up in the whole arc is the silent enemies. Why doesn't Archer's ability work with them? It was introduced in the deal, and the silent enemies was kind of, they didn't know who the Xindi was before. I guess that's how that ties in. That's the only way I think I can figure why it would tie in with the Enterprise. But Archer's ability should work here too. Then you would be able to use him and grind out these deals. I use E. Picard and for them to get the loot bonus, because the loot bonus makes a difference. It really does. I use my NX-01. This is the crew that I use. I'll show you the crew that I use on NX-01. First of all, I'm going to put my max loot crew on. I'm not going to use the Kirk brothers on that, but I'm going to use let's go group. And then I'll throw the Doctor on here. Let's find the Doctor. Or I can stay in group, just go, well, heck, missed it. Okay, we'll find the Doctor. And then I put the Doctor right there. That's the crew I use in my NX-01 to do reptilians and aquatics, and it works quite well. I'm able to punch up all the way up to the 62s. You can see I've been in there, but most of the time I'll just do the 61s because I think it's a little bit more powerful, and the go home cannon on the battleships is not deal. But if you want to go into and sit there and mine those rare opportunity chips, I can take my NX-01, put it in 46 ship, and it just doesn't die no matter what. Here, we're going to get, well, it takes me 37 seconds. I'll show you. I see people use like some exotic crews in there, but once you get your Tucker and your Archer Tier 4 and your Phlox at Tier 3, I think you're good. You don't have to use a crazy crew to get that. I mean, you can see where I did in the beginning. Go back and look at my older videos, and you see that I used a different crew on them then. But now that I've got them tiered up, I don't do that. I can go in here. I can hit these aquatics all day until I get tired of doing them. I'm just going to do a few of them. I'm not going to sit there and go. You saw how many tokens I got. And we'll go into the refinery next. The refinery is really, really good. It's a good source of those X-board credits. Like I said, I engage with it every day. You see no hull damage. No hull damage at all. I mean, there'll probably be some slight hull damage, but you can see that the impact is minimum on these. And I think I grinded out like 62 the other night when they had New Year's event they had. I think they had Zindi in it. And I came in here and finished it on that. We had a Zindi deal on one of these recently. So I'm just going to send him home. I don't really need these right now, but I was just going to show you what a good crew that is. You can sit there and do that all day. And if you're not as high as me, go down to the 40s or the 42 one and do the same. And you can sit there and grind those out forever. So let's look at the refinery real quick. You get your, the scrap from just the regular Zindi stuff. Then you get, the aquatic loot. Then you can use the Epic X-board credit to get Hugh. And you can see I've done a pretty decent job. I didn't do him right away because I thought the Fabers were more important. I got knocked out all the Fabers I really wanted to do before I even started on Hugh. I could probably have him at Tier 4 now if I would have been on top of it sooner. But these opportunity chests, you can see I engage with these every day. They give you so much stuff. Like I said, it helps on these other loops that you can just bypass them and not even do them because you get the loot that you need. It's a really good one. To me, this might be the best arc of the year. So let's go with the second arc. In April, we got the Gorn invasion, which was the reintroduction of the Strange New Worlds crew. And we got some really good officers. I think that going into this is going to be maybe the best officer group that we got all year. They impact my gameplay every day. And let's go ahead and look at the officers first, because I'm going to go with the most positive part of the arcs that I can. Here's the Strange New World. So in this arc, we got Pella, which Pella's a good officer because she works both on PvE and PvP. And she's got, she can work on your armadas. I don't use her there. I got better officers than she is on Well, it says non-armadas. I don't use it on the bridge. To me, where her best value is below deck, where she reduces oxylytic damage to your ship. She's on my main warship. She's a very good officer. You see, I got her maxed out. The second, let's look at the epic Sam Kirk. Sam Kirk, I use every day. He's my main PvE side officer. I put him and his brother James Kirk. They are coupled with E-Data. They are the best PvE crew in the game. On the bridge, that is. Mabinga, he's a pretty good PvE officer himself, but if you're going to use him, I would probably use him on the Gorn loop. But I use the Kirk brothers still because I think they're better. But you could use him there. And we got our gal, Nurse Chapel. She's one of the top 3 lower deck PvE officers. Just with all the increase of the oxylytic damage on your PV, on your hostiles, she doesn't work on armadas. But you got, I will say, she's on my number 1 PvE crew. Kirk is on her, and so is Sam Kirk. We got both the Kirk brothers, and I said, yeah, and Pella's on my main ship. So they are very important officers. To me, that was the best part of the arc. As you can see, I got mine up to tier 8. Again, I did the same thing I did with the Enterprise NX-01. I did the unlock on day 1 and the day 1 pack. This is a slow ship to update just because look how many updates they are and how expensive they are on the materials. And also, it's not effective. Well, let's go into the refinery and I'll show you why. The isomatter. Okay, you need the ship to get the material, this epic isomatter, but you still have to use your warship to get the volatile isomatter. Until this, I'm thinking until this the Inviscerator gets to tier 10, it's not going to be a ship, the only ship that you can do to get both. And yes, you can put Chapel on there or whatever and take her from below deck, and it gives you a boost, but not enough. As you can see, I got plenty of one and very little of other because I used my Rotaran the other day to get it. But to be able to stock the other side, I'm going to have to go where it can go. And it goes into systems that just gives you very little of the one and a bunch of the other because the ship has a bunch of bonuses. And it gives you the epic, but not much of the... Let me find the damn system. Where is the system at? Oh, yeah, right here. So no. There it is. Okay. My Eviscerator can go to the highest one right here. And it does okay grinding them. But still at 8, I don't have enough warp range to get where I need to be grinding them, which is right here. I don't know, once I'll be able to take it to 61 space, as you can see, I don't have the warp range yet. You know, I'm not even halfway there. You know. I guess a little bit more than halfway there because I got 519. I need 900. But once I get into this area, maybe it'll be effective where you don't have to use 2 different ships to do 2 different grinds to keep that refinery full. Now, for as the refinery goes, the refinery has some really good stuff in it. You got your Strange New World officers that you can source there. You have a bunch of different officers. You got some E officers and Voyager, which I don't need any Voyager one. I'm almost got my Voyager ones tiered up. But you also get some artifact pieces, which is really good. And you also get your Sigma, which I need. And you also get hazard particles, which are things that I need every day, and speed ups. This is the best part of this loop are the officers, or not loop, but this arc is the office. You know, the sourcing in the refinery, and the officers. The ship is a piece of crap. I don't like the loop where I have to do 2 runs to keep my refinery full. I give this arc a B just because of the officers and the refinery. The rest of it I don't like. I'll hope that sooner or later they'll put it in the archives so I can do pulls where I don't have to ever do this again. That's my number 1 arc that I wish will get canceled out next with the archives. But anyway, so I give that one a B. I'll give the Enterprise one an A just because, like I said, it's one that I engage with every day, and so I do with this one as well. Okay, now let's get to where this is where the year started to go downhill. You had 2 decent arcs, even though I don't like the loop on the Gorn. We got the Mirror Universe. It promised out to be really good. It was going to be a PvP arc that the feedback from the farmers, the people who are playing Star Trek Farmsville with this game was so loud that they pushed it back. Which, to me, the PvE arc was up my alley. I even changed alliances to being a more aggressive alliance just to play in this arc, and they wimped out because of the crying of the farmers in this game. Boo-hoo. But anyway, the officers that were sourced in the game were good PvP officers. They helped balance out the game, actually. They made it to where Freeman or in the strike team weren't. You could just throw those on there and go. Now you have to do some balancing. And here we go. You can see I got my Mirror Data. He's tiered out. I got my Mirror Picard at tier 4. I got Kira at tier 3. And the other 2 rares are tier 2. Obviously, the 2 best officers were Picard and Mirror Data. And you can use some different combinations with them and have a really good PvP crew. These were much needed in the game. But this Mirror Universe was a total joke and a piece of crap. The one good, this Mr. Tiger, the designer of this garbage, the one good thing that he did put in here was a way to source reputation. This is really the only thing that I use this one for. The research that it put in here. Let's see, I've got to go into get a research. Is also very good. As you can see, I got most of it maxed out. Makes us dumb as some of the way you have to knife through these to get to places that you actually need to go. And the timing, where you can only be in here if you max out the research. It's not. I think it's 30 minutes is the max. By the time you get to wherever you're at, you're sitting at 28 minutes, 27 minutes, something like that. That's pretty dumb. With a dumb concept. I think it would have been much better if you just went into the launching area, which I'll go to the launching area, show you what I'm talking about. I mean, most of you know what I'm talking about, but still. It would have been much better if you could put your ship here in the deal, and then once you're there, say I wanted to go to the 65 system, I'll just push that. It tells me how much tokens it costs. Instead of having to waste time weeding through a path to get wherever you're going. The Galaxy Quest puts with this mirror right here. We'll go with Galaxy Quest here in a minute, but there is a shortcut to get through this mirror Nausicaa. You can get over here and get into here, or you can use these premium routes, which starts. You go into this Andoria, there, and then you can go into one of these. Or you can even, I don't know why you would want to use, now you can mine some Trillium D in this, that's why you would want to go there. But other than that, the officers and the research were good. Everything else was in this art, and also the sourcing of being able to get reputation in these systems right here is the only good part of this whole art. The rest of it's garbage. The rest of it is total garbage. Give the Mirror Universe a C. And that's not because of the art. It's because the officers and the research and, again, the way to get reputation. And now, let's talk about the Galaxy Quest. They decided, instead of using, I don't know, Wrath of Khan, doing the second part of the Mirror Universe with the best, actually, episode of the Mirror Universe was in the Enterprise series. You notice we don't have any Enterprise Mirror crew. Gosh, we could have done that. You could have done another version of the Mirror Universe, because you know what? So you know what they do? They bring in these characters, and the officer ability of some of these guys are decent, but they could have been Star Trek characters instead of Galaxy Quest characters. So I'm not going to give them bonus points for putting good officers in this crossover, because it really doesn't matter what face they put on these guys. You know what I'm saying? It's the officer ability. They could have put, like I said, Wrath of Khan. They could have done another Mirror Universe with the Enterprise characters, but they didn't do it. And then they also put in another part of the Mirror Universe. So that's why it doesn't make any sense why they didn't stay with the Mirror Universe. But you had to use this little stupid ship. This is where I should have started the disconnect on bad content. I went ahead and bought this little ship day one, and also bought the day one pack. And I've got it up to tier 8. It looks like it's tearing up just a little faster than the Eviscerator for the Gorn ship. But still, it really only has 2 uses. Is in this little mirror universe, and it does mine pretty fast, the Trillium. But it's still, at where I have it, it's not faster than my best Silky in there. So maybe once I get it up a tier or 2, I can use this for the mining. The good thing about it is it has a huge cargo hull. You see, it can hold 10 million at where I'm at. I'm sure it tears up higher than that. I mean, it has plenty of space. I've seen a lot of lower players use this ship in the arenas to put a speed crew on and hit those little hostiles. It does okay for that too. But I could use any interceptor and put the deal and still be just as fast. But this one doesn't cost a lot for repairs. And, well, in arenas, it doesn't matter what your repairs is anyway. But this was a non-needed ship in the game, and this part right here we didn't need. We still don't. Because, as I said, that the research for the Mirrorverse was really good. Whoops, pushed the wrong button. Okay, the very front of this is all dedicated to the loot that you get in from the space that the Galaxy Quest, when that part of the Omega, I think it's called the Omega. Let's see what the juice is called. The Omega Mirror Dust. You get this Omega Mirror Dust, and you think it goes all the way up to right here, which I'll use this on right now. And pretty much, you see you got some primes here that they put in the game. But pretty much, till you get right here into it, all this other one's junk that's with the ship. So we could have done without it, but you do have some decently okay research here. You can see that you can see where the ones that I factored on. I've got the critical ones, and I will do these when I get the dust for it. But we could have done without it. If I had a do-over, this is where I would have started disengaging with the bad content. But the officers in here were really good, and it made it almost impossible not to. So we got 4 officers. We got DeMarco, Naismith, however you say her name, and Dane. Yeah, those are the only 4 officers that were in the Galaxy Quest arc. DeMarco is one of the best officers in the game because she's really good on armadas, and she's one of the best lower deck PvP officers in the game. DeMarco's really good. Like I said, didn't have to be. This could have been Mirror Archer or whatever. It could have been any of the Enterprise crew, and they could have added some more as well. Naismith is a pretty good officer, and if you want to see what the best invasion hostile when the invasions came in, I don't remember if it came in with. I think it did come in with these guys, the new invasion deal. That was pretty good. I engaged pretty hard in that, but the 3 best invasion crew So what I do on the invasions, okay, the reason I did that because my lower deck is all set up pretty much. So I'll go Naismith the captain, DeMarco on the side, and her on the side. And since the cargo bay is pretty low and you can fill it up pretty fast where I'm popping them, I'll take the doctor out, go lower deck, throw Pella on there instead. And and I'll go up into the 65 system. I think that's where they put that's the highest ones. And I can hit these where other guys on my server are using G6 ships. I'm using my Rotaran, and they're going back to repair before I do. This is really good on the invasion hostiles. I know we haven't talked about her yet and where she came in, but I'm just going to do that here because that's where the invasions came in, was during the and that might be one of the better parts of the arc, is we did get the invasion in the store and these officers. But the rest of it, I give an F because it didn't need to be in the game. I give the arc an F overall, even though we got some good officers and we got the invasions. It didn't have to be. They could have brought that and still kept it within Star Trek. And what's so funny is those bozos that are doing the roadmap thing said this was one of the best received arcs of the bunch. I guess they don't read Discord, because this was heavily criticized when they did it. And I know a couple people actually freaking quit the game, which I thought was stupid, but they did. I'd give this arc an F, but I don't think it's the worst arc of the year that's coming. September rolls around, we get the Symbiosis arc. I don't remember any new loop being brought into the game, but we did get those officers. One of the officers we just looked at. This is where we got this Tolly, this whatever you can say, this guy's name. We got Daja, and we got Vial. These are pretty decent officers, and that's the only good thing about the whole arc. The rest of it was pretty much a C level. I'm not going to give it a D because there really wasn't anything there. And that brings us to me, the worst piece of garbage arc of the year, which was the Q. This is the first arc, the first part of the arc I engaged with. When we got the Q officers. We got Starfleet Q, which was the epic. We got French Marshal Q, and we got Mariachi Q. These were all decent PvP officers, not great. I think pretty decent lower deck officers to add. You can see which ones I felt were the most important for my ships, at least. You can see I've got a Tier 4 Mariachi Q, Tier 2 for French Marshal Q, Miss Q is Tier 2, and Romney is Tier 3. I think if I'd had some extra money to spend in this arc, I would have probably tiered her up to 4. Usually that's what I like to do, especially on the ones I think they're going to help me the most. You can see I got my Starfleet Q at Tier 2 and Saren at Tier 2. The only problem is with these two epics, they're not as good as the strike team counter versions, because you only get a 40% chance to apply a morale and a 40% chance of burning. Well, we go up to the ones that match them, because they're supposed to be anti that group. If I go up to my little Ann, well, she's got 80% chance of burning for 3 rounds. So she's double that. And that was where I think that's where they made the mistake with these officers, and not doing the same thing with them, because you see his is just apex barrier with ships with morale. It doesn't stack up when you tear it up. Like you can almost make a case that some of these content creators, that you only need him at tier 1 for if you're going to use him as captain. But you do want to tear him up for this bottom, because it doesn't get any better. He gets 40%, and that's all. So he's not going to be better than the strike team version of let me go to Wyoon. Wyoon's the same thing. His is up front. You see, I got 60% chance of morale with his captain maneuver, because his captain maneuver is a little bit different than Leanne's. It's on the captain. Her chance for causing whatever the state is on the officer, and not her captain's. So Wyoon's a much better officer than him, because you got a better chance for morale. And I think it's CERN's the one that has burning. You compare them to Leanne. See, Leanne's better than him. Though you get some apex barrier, the new thing they got. So it's questionable whether how good these captains, these epics are. My suspicion is they're going to have to be tiered up pretty high before I would use them on my main ship. But it's to be seen. When we get the combats back, I'll definitely give them some try and see how they perform. But right now, I would say that the best things that we got out of these were the rares in this arc, and not the epics. For right now, at tier 2 or whatever, maybe when they're tier 4 or 5 tiered out, might be a different story. But right now, I think the rares were the better officers, quite frankly. And then Mr. Tiger again gives us this zigzag space, these new armadas, which can only be really destroyed by the new ship, and I don't have the new ship, so I can't show it to you. Like I said, this is the second part of this arc, the one that we just finished. I didn't engage in it, not at all. I did some of the stuff that I could do with my regular ships, but to get loot for the store. But as far as the ship, these armadas, I didn't do any of it. And let me go into the ships. I'll go into ships and show you. A Revelant here. You can see I don't have it. I am pulling the stuff in the refinery, which we got our own refinery for it, the Continuum. And this is a nice little refinery here, but you can see I can engage with the most important part of it without even having the ship. And that's what I've been doing. But they gave us a Stella 2.0. You have to scrap it when you get to a certain level to be able to upgrade this refinery. And I just don't see importance to it in the game. So I won't engage with it. I don't know, once I get the ship free, just from progressing, I don't know whether I'll still do anything with it. But anyway, that's far as the art. Okay, we can talk about the arenas. Now the arenas was good. I thought the first couple of weeks, but a lot of people complained about the matchups, so they redid the matchups, and I didn't see any point of it because I thought it was pretty much the same. I saw no improvement. I had to, like I told you, I switched alliances during the Mirror Universe arc, but I left them because we had a couple of players in that alliance that was really downplaying the arc, and we got where we couldn't get enough people to do a squad. Well, you said, well, you're 67. Well, yeah, I was in an alliance that had 20 plus 60 players. And also I was 66 then. I hadn't moved up to 67. So even some 59 players, which we had, I guess maybe 6 or 8 of those could have been in a squad with me. But week 1, we had 2 squads going. It was fun. Then when they went to 3-on-3 instead of 5-on-5, that's when the players in my alliance didn't want to engage with it anymore. So I left and went to a different alliance, and I did it until the last 2 weeks of it, because it got so broken the last 2 weeks that my ships would freeze, or I couldn't acquire other ships inside the arena. Either because they weren't really where they were saying they were or whatever, because they were stuck like mine. So I didn't engage with it the last 2 weeks because it was broke. I was hoping that when they took it down they would fix it, but it was like they paused it indefinitely. And I hope it comes back soon because it has a really good faction store. You can source all the Mirror Universe officers, and you get my Mirror Universe officer I don't have because I never got my ranking high enough that I could unlock her, is Mirror Universe Ahura. I really want that officer, and you can see that I'm in the midst of getting this artifact. I think that artifact's going to be really good. And there are a couple of really good researches in here that you really need. And you can see I got to unlock it. The one that I need, I can't get to. But if you're a tier 5 or I'm a G5 or G4, I don't know why they got the G3 in here. I don't know if the G3 players can even do the arenas. But this is valuable research, because it decreases the cost of your blueprints. And that was the reason why I couldn't understand why the alliance I used to be in didn't want to do these, because there was really so much good stuff in this. And the greatest part, it was free. We didn't have to buy directives to get in it, and we didn't have to pay for repairs. It was a completely free a completely free mechanic that all of us have been clamoring for since as long as I've been in the game, where everything wasn't behind a paywall. Well, this one is not behind a paywall at all, and I couldn't get people in the alliance to even engage in it. I mean, I literally, the last week I was in my prior alliance, I sat in the queue for 3 hours. And at various times I had needed 1 or 2 players to join. And I was high enough in ranking in the alliance, I could see who was online and who wasn't. And it wasn't like nobody was online when I was trying to do it. It was just that we had a couple of jerks in the alliance that was, downplaying it so much that nobody wanted to play. And a few of those guys are farmers anyway that don't do PvP, and it just makes things bad. It's, again, one of the gripes I have in this game is having a mechanic that you have to rely on 1 or 2 or even 5, 6, 7 other players to do. And one of the things we got in this arc was another good thing was the Tournament Alliance, which is going on right now. And as most of y'all know, today, when it turned over, we saw an empty thing with no task to do. It was like that until I think about 2 o'clock Central. That's when I noticed it was back. It might have got there a little bit sooner, but not much sooner than that, I can tell you, because I checked. But to me, the unstableness, and that's another thing that we should really look at, has been really, really bad. There's been times where this game has been unplayable from stability standpoint. Overall, even though it started out pretty decent, we got some really nice stuff into the game, but overall, because of the instability and how much of a paywall they put so much of this content, I'm going to give it a D for the year. I mean, originally I was going to give it an F because I was angry about this last arc, and then today and some other things, and the arenas being broke and all this other stuff. But now that I sit and look at it with you guys, we had a decent first part of the year. It just went downhill from, really from the Mirror Universe down during part of that arc where they backed off on the PvP arc. But that's what I give the year as a D. There needs to be a lot of improvement in this game. We had countless of really good players quit because they just got fed up. And if they want this game to survive, they need to do a lot better job. There needs to be a mass firing over at Scopely. They need to hire some new engineers, new game designers, new coders, new arc runners. There needs to be a clearing of the board and starting over on that. It's just been really unacceptable at some points in this year. And that's how I looked at it this year. If you disagree, put it in the comments. Tell me why you think I'm wrong. And until next time.